got a foamer up here taking photos.
What's up, guys? It's the Engineer here. Quick disclaimer before we start this video. As you can hear, I've lost my voice. I'm sorry about that. But on to what's going to be happening in this video is we are going, me, my mom, Lavender CSX, and my dog Daisy are going to be taking the 3.5 to 4 hour drive up to Folkston, Georgia, where we will be spending 4 nights and spending 2 full days and 2 half days. So, with that, let's go see the trains in Folkston, Georgia. Disclaimer, most of the parts where I actually talk about the trains and put them up on the side of the video, I'm going to be screenshotting from the virtual railfan log and putting that at the top. So just letting y'all know, because it would take me 3 years to edit that. So we're going to start off with how most videos do, with CSX trains, and we're going to do it in order of when we saw the trains. So here comes the CSX M457 coming from Waycross, Georgia to Taft, Florida, with CSX 7329 leading, CSX 4040 in second, and CSX 3329 in third. And just so you know, after the engines pass, if there's a DP, I'll slow the video down. But so I don't have a 10-hour long video, all the train cars will be at 3x speed. The next train would be CSX IO26 from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval Ramp to Bedford Park, Illinois, with CSX 3421 in lead, CSX 7573 in second, and CSX 3039 was a mid-DPU. Now, what you just read before you on the boxcar that just passed, it said do not hump, which to someone who is not aware of trains might think that's very off. Very off. But do not hump stands for a CSX or any railroad hump yard where trains push train cars over a hump into many different sorting tracks that can go to many different cities. So you push train cars over the hump and they get sorted into tracks. Now, with do not hump cars, you should not do that because they're not supposed to be banged into other stuff because there's electronics in them that scan the track. And by the way, for the other people who are there, these are their channels for my other friends, and thank you to Lavender CSX for letting me use some of his clips. Now, before I play this clip, I want to say the reason I didn't film the whole train is honestly, because my phone died. This is Amtrak PO 98 with ALC 42 366 in lead. And the other reason everyone was yelling is because someone was standing on the tracks, texting someone with the gates down, and did not give a crap about the train. And then they finally moved and they didn't get hit, thank God. And thank the Lord my phone died after the engines passed. Alright, and now our next train would be probably, for me and Joe, our rarest train of the trip. And also, if you know me, this would be my first CSX Heritage unit. Not sticker unit, not special interest unit. Heritage unit I would see moving, and here comes the LNN 1850 Heritage unit. And knowing my luck, my first moving Heritage unit would be a trail fail, but no, this is the LNN 1850 was leading.
What did you say?
What did you say?
1850 out.
That's it?
Oh! That's it!
Now let's look back and see why CSX even made this engine in the first place. The Louisville and Nashville Railroad was founded in 1850 to connect the Louisville and Nashville together via railroad, eventually growing into a major southeastern rail network hauling coal, timber, manufactured goods during the American Civil War. It was a crucial supply in helping the Union solidify its strategic importance after the LNN expanded across multiple states, becoming one of the most influential railroads in the South by the early 20th century. In the 1900s, it became part of a larger railroad. Over time, it merged into different railroads, completing the family line system of Seaboard and the LNN and many other railroads, which then would turn into CSX. CSX created the LNN Heritage Unit to honor the historical legacy of the LNN Railroad and its crew members. And now, after seeing the LNN, we would wait probably about 2 hours till our next train came, the Amtrak Auto Train PO 52 from Sanford, Florida, headed northbound with a charger drill in the head. Fun fact about the Amtrak Auto Train, it's technically the longest passenger train in America because it's technically not classified as a mixed freight because it's owned by Amtrak. Thank you to the engineer for that awesome horn spam. This train's passenger cars consist of sleepers, mainly superliners, and some superliner diner cars, which as you see, just passed. And then it's a whole lot of auto rack cars, so passengers can take their cars up north with them, their vehicles. And what I didn't know until only while editing this is that people can take trailers on the train, which I did not know. So That's pretty cool. But everything has to be parked backwards, so it's pretty hard to park them, and so it's easier to pull them out at the next stop. It's only one place to one place train, but still really freaking cool. So, quick story time. Our next train that's coming, which you can see the headlight of, its leader was an engine that, let's just say, many people have heard of, at least number-wise. And the reason is because... Now, in this video, it's pretty hard to read the number boards of the engine. That's why after I'm going to be showing a photo and then a second photo, because this is pretty funny. As you saw, that's very cool because the lead engine was 777. And the entire time you were joking, it's a runaway train, run! It was really funny to see 777. Alright, so our next train of the day would be another CSX manifest. I'm not sure what this is, but I will put up on the side of the screen the engine numbers and the model of the engine. So here you go. That's what they are. But it's another manifest, which just for the next two videos means it's a train that carries everything on one train. Just a lot of random stuff on one train. So that's what this is. An M train, M symbol train, a manifest. Our next train is another manifest. Well, not really a manifest. It's an auto rack train. So every train car is filled with cars, like cars that you drive. And there's honestly a good chance one of these cars will get hit by a train once they actually be bought or purchased, because Florida drivers, and they're getting shipped to Florida. They're brand new cars. So, we don't talk about that. But, this train is I think it would still be symboled M, or maybe it's an X. I'm not sure. Someone can write me in the comments. So, it's just CSX, 2 ES40s, like usual. back to Folkston, where we have a manifest with a single GEVO on point. There's a lot of trains today with single engine leaders. I wonder why. But this train is also pretty short and has no DPUs, so that might make sense. But with the other trains, I don't know why there's only one engine on point. But hey, what are you gonna do about it? It's fine. But like I said, this is a pretty short train and the end is already coming up quickly. Our next train is Amtrak PO40 with a Charger in lead and a P42 in trail. Of course, the Charger's in lead, that's just my luck, but here comes PO40. So, I was kind of upset about this engine because this is my first CP locomotive I would ever see. Of course, my mom said we have to stay inside the house and film from the window. But there is foreshadowing to later when... Oh, with that, here's my first time seeing a CP locomotive. With a very, very terrible shot at nighttime. I'm sorry. And now, I'm outside to get what I could with using the lights from the crossing. Realizing it's cold and it started shaking, so that's why the video's a little off, but I'm sorry. I got it. Here's the back. Our next train was one more manifest, and I must say there was also a manifest that we missed that came like 10 minutes after this. That, let's just say, we missed the engines and we only saw cars. It wasn't this train, it was a different train. But of course the engine on point was CSX 911, so of course that's what we missed, but you can only get what you can get. And after realizing we both just missed 911, I have proof, it's on the rail cam. After missing 911, we woke up, checked the rail cam, realized, and Joe re-woke me up a second time and said, let's get to the dang platform, so we wouldn't fall asleep. So this is a video from the platform of another auto rack train with 2 GEs on the head. And for the next coming up train, it got to a point where we didn't know how to use the heater, so I'd only film the trains and then I'd run back inside and only film the engines. That's why this clip is 12 seconds of 2 CSX GEs of a CM44 and a ET44. And as you can tell, the second they pass, I go back to the comfort of the doorway. And I did the exact same thing for this train, which, again, 2 GEVOs. When is there not GEVOs? Who wants this many GEVOs? Should this just be Who Wants This Many GEVOs Part 2? And remember when I mentioned we missed 911? Well, here's the train cars. I'm so sad. Up. And this would be our last train of the night before the sun would come out that we at least saw. And this train was extremely cool because it had more than 40 Tropicana juice cars. Like, I haven't seen that many cars in years of juice. Just straight juice cars. But then, of course, there are like 10 intermodal cars at the back. Why? Thank the Lord! It's finally daytime, so we can get actual good videos. And the first train that comes in the light, of course. So, well, here. I tried to get the same shots I got the first train we saw in Folkston. And I was on the other side of the road, so Railroad Street is right in front of us. So, a car blocked my shot. And I hate it. I hate this shot now. And now here comes Amtrak PO41 with back-to-back chargers coming from Chicago going down to Miami, Florida. And we would once again cross the tracks to see Amtrak PO98, I believe, also going to Miami from New York with a P42 in lead with a pretty flawed horn. That horn sounds like if you took a K5LA but made it into a car horn at the same time. This next scene won't make much sense to most, but this engine, the real one, is at the Florida Raid Museum, which I have seen before. Wait, it's in O scale. I need to buy this. Yes, I do. Operating rules manual? Oh. The next train is what I believe is to be a CSX grain train with a CSX ES40 DC in lead and a CM44 in second. Don't mind me entering the shot to try to get some cool photos of me standing with the train going by. And our very next train would be a long rock train with a Jevo in lead, and our first Mac of the trip, I believe, in second. I believe this is our first Mac of the trip. Our next CSX train, 2 Jevos like usual with a lot of intermodal cars. An intermodal train headed south to Jacksonville. Now, I really like the shot I got with this train. I put my camera on my tripod, but made it so it looked like it was on the railing, so you could see everything and realize that it looks like it's on the railing, but it's on the tripod because I would have had it on the railing, but I couldn't figure out how, so I kept it like this. And it's not often you get to see a trio in elephant style. This had an AC-44, a Jevo, another AC-44, all in Y3B, which was very nice to see. Now, what's coming up here is probably my favorite lash-up of the trip. The first 3 engines were very modern, but the last 3 engines, oh, they were so cool. There was 2 -2 Jeeps and a YN2-8. So let's check it out. So starting off with a CM44, followed by a Jevo, followed by a Jeep 38-3. Nope, an SD40-3, followed by a Jeep 40-2, followed by a Jeep 38-2, and followed by a -8. Very cool, and one of the engines still had their class lamp, at least what was their class lamp, so that was very cool to see. That was probably my favorite lash-up of the trip, and it had 6 engines. Very cool. Our next train is another manifest with a CM44 in lead and a ES44AH in trail. welcome to the first train meet of the video. I just realized I think almost every train meet we've had was over here. Don't mind me getting my tripod set up. So how this meet would work, there's a intermodal coming, intermodal coming on the far track, and there'd be a juice slash intermodal coming on the close track a bit after the engines pass, so we won't get perfect meet, but we might get one later. But with that, let's see this intermodal train come with a ET44 in lead and a CM44 in trail. So we had another ET44 leader, followed by a CM44, followed by an ES44. The next train on our list would be a grain train, I do believe, with hopefully some good power, because that's what I want for Christmas. Gee, thanks, Grandma, just what I've always wanted. Now, for those wondering if Folkston is really a rail fan's paradise, I would say yes, just because of the amount of trains I have to edit. This is taking so long. And now we have another intermodal with pretty normal power. I'd like to say something funny. Here's an extremely funny, terrible quality photo that Gio took of me laying down as the train passed. Our next train would be Amtrak PO98 with nothing too special, just a P42 duo, but with one car that looks very old, and you can tell which one it is. It's a Phase 3 Viewliner. You gotta look for it yourself, though. And here's our first ethanol of the video with a CSX Duo in lead. Also, that Bushnov just went there. With a CSX Gevo Duo in lead and a SD70 Mac in third. This Mac was flared. 2 Gevos leading. Nothing special about them, really. ES40s. But here's them coming over the crossing through Folkston, Georgia. And I almost died after climbing down, and I'll say climbing down, because see that giant rock pile? I was on top of that, and I climbed down so I wouldn't have any chance of slipping, and I almost fell down when I tried coming down, but I was fine, thank God. And as you can see by the lighting, it's slowly becoming the evening. And we're gonna go to the first train that when the sun comes up tomorrow, as will be the last train of this video. But right now we have a manifest with 4 engines on the point coming down through here. Our engines is an ES44AH, an ET44, an ES44AH again, and a CM44 with a nice wave from the engineer. And the second engine, well, technically a third engine in the Sashep, was number 912, which is very close to an engine we will see in the next video. Foreshadowing. And just so y'all know, we're going to cut to me acting stupid with the train coming by, where I will be giving you all a terrible, terrible tutorial on how to make s'mores with the train in the background. Me and Joe watched this back so many times, it was so funny. And this, my friends, is a perfect burnt marshmallow. And here comes another Amtrak PO53 with a Charger Duo on a train just like last night. This is going to become a daily occurrence for this video series of 2 videos. But with that, here comes Amtrak PO53 once again with the Charger Duo. it's once again becoming nighttime, and I would love to say thank you to Anthony, because he owned 2 floodlights and a giant, like, police-grade spotlight. So almost none of our videos looked incredibly bad. So thank you to Anthony for that, and I would also do my best to just spam click my camera so we could get as many flashes of light. But that's all. Now here comes our next train, a manifest with 2 Gevos and a single GP38-3 inch rail.
Don't blind them.
Pause, because this would technically be the first train we saw in the daylight. I'm not skipping any trains. That was legit the only train we saw at night because I got too tired and fell asleep. But there was a special treat on this first train that came. It was a ES44, but it was in Wine 3B with a boxcar logo. But it was super cool because it was the actual Western and Maryland sticker unit. So let's see it come on by. But wait, because I do not know when I'll start or finish the second part of this Folkston video. I will finish it though. Hopefully I can finish it before summer break. We don't talk about that. But I'm gonna give you a cute smattering of some of the trains, extremely quick of the core trains we saw. Which most of the cool trains we saw were after that day. So, here's a quick smash.